All right. Hi, Sydney. How are you?
Doing good. How are you?
Good. I'm so excited for today and for you to tell all the moms out there about your experience of entering motherhood and your
Mhm.
experience working with me.
Yeah, absolutely.
A quick background on Sydney. Sydney and I worked together for 6 months and on and off kind of after the 6 months. And it was an absolute pleasure to work with her. But I'm going to do no more talking and we're just going to kind of go into what Sydney was dealing with prior to working with me. So, Sydney, tell us about some difficulties that you were having before you started working with me that made you seek out help in general.
Yeah. So I think like when you become a mom, I don't think there's ever like the right time or you feel 100% prepared. Like you can read the books and kind of leading up to it, do all the things that you can do. But then, so I felt I was ready. And then once I had my daughter Josie, I just, and for some moms, everyone's different. It hits you at different times. I've had friends of mine where they were just overwhelmed the second they had the baby with all of these crazy feelings. But for me, it was, I want to say 2, 3 months into motherhood, it kind of hit me where I think the best way to describe it is I just felt lost as a person. I didn't know who I was as a person, as a mom. Nothing, when everything I thought would come natural, it didn't necessarily for me. And so I just wanted to, the reason I kind of sought help was because the number one thing for me was intrusive thoughts. I was having these bad thoughts that were just so overwhelming. And from someone who always wanted to be a mom and then becoming a mom, I was just kind of like, why am I thinking these things? What's wrong with me? Is it normal? Am I going to act on these thoughts? It just was overwhelming and just a lot to handle. And I myself could not process them alone. So that's when a friend of mine introduced me to Danielle. And then as soon as I saw like her program, what she was about, what she can do, I just knew immediately, I don't know what I'm getting myself into, but I know I need to do this for myself, for my baby, my mental health, my husband, like everything. And I think it's important to know too that I had a support system and I'm so fortunate for that. So it can happen to mothers that have nobody to have everybody and you convince yourself alone that you're alone. And that's what brought me to Danielle because I felt like I was just completely alone and was doing motherhood just completely wrong. And so that's kind of the backstory of how I was feeling and what brought me to you and all of that stuff.
Yeah, I definitely feel you on all those, Sydney. It was terrible. I know I experienced them too. So with the intrusive thoughts and just feeling like, what the hell is going on? Why is this happening to me?
Absolutely.
And I know one of my other one-on-one clients referred you. But what was it about working with me that, or at least what the other one-on-one told you about working with me that really said, I have to work with her immediately. Like this is, I can't go anywhere else. I got to go here.
Yeah. So I struggled with, I wasn't necessarily that I didn't want to go to a therapist and go one on one because I can be a very private person and I don't like opening up and talking about things. And so I was talking to your other client who was the one on one, and she goes, the one thing I want you to know about Danielle is she is so personable, and you will talk to her for 5 minutes, and next thing you know, you're spewing everything. She's so easy to talk to. And so the fact that it could be a phone call or a Zoom call that fit my like crazy schedule with a newborn and I didn't have to go sit face to face because while that works great for some people, for me it was something that was super intimidating and what kept me from getting help for a long time. So it was kind of a combination of you came so highly recommended as someone you could talk to like so easily and just so relatable with you going through it yourself. That was another big thing, talking to another, you're a coach and but you're also a mom who went through it. So knowing that, it was before I even spoke to you, it was relatable. And so it was kind of a combination of all of those things. The type of coaching it was, and then the kind of person you were, that's when I was like, okay, like Danielle is it for me. So
I love that. I love that. Yes, it is amazing to have somebody who you feel comfortable opening up with. I know when I was going through it, looking for a therapist, didn't seem right for me at the time either in the beginning. And I'm the same way. Like I'm a very private person, just like you don't feel comfortable opening up to somebody and sharing, your life story. So I'm really glad that you felt
yeah.
that way with me, Sydney.
Especially after our first, like, it was just kind of a preliminary phone call just to introduce ourselves. And I remember we talked for like an hour and a half and I told you everything and I was like, okay, wow, that was easy.
Oh my God. See, we connected like right away. I love
Mhm.
that. I love it, Sydney. You're the best. Okay, so now tell me, when you were deciding to work with me, I know it comes into, there's some finances that you have to invest, and how did you kind of go through that process in your mind of investing in support from a coach, and using your money in this specific way? Like, what were some limitations that came up, and how did you, move through them?
Yeah. So I know, so Luke and I are okay with if our money is going to something good and something that's like useful or needed, like we're okay investing in money. And so, like I thought of it more as this isn't a financial burden. If I can afford it, like I'm investing this money into myself. And it's something that it no longer became something I just wanted to do. It kind of got to a point where I was like, okay, I need to do this for myself. So financially for us, like it was a quick and easy decision because I knew all the worth that I was getting out of your program. And me personally, like where I was to where I am today, like you can't put a number to that. I would have paid it again and some because it just transformed my life. So the financial part, luckily we were able to when we were, and it was a easy decision to say yes and to pay for it because all of the things that you get out of it. So
Yeah, you definitely made a really important decision, which is hard for all of us to make that decision that, yeah, I need help. Like I
mhm,
got to do this, and this is going in the right place, and it's going to get me what I need. So
mhm.
what did you need? What solutions were you looking for? Like, what was this in your head? Like, okay, this is a problem I know I have, and what were you really looking to achieve from working with me?
So there was a couple specific things that we worked on. Like for example, I could not get in the car with my newborn child and drive anywhere. So I was like, okay, I need Danielle to help me to feel comfortable driving with my baby, knowing that we're not going to get into a car crash every time I get in the car. And then so there were like some specific things like those, but the two biggest things that I can recall were the intrusive thoughts. I had no techniques or ways to get rid of them, and not that I wanted to just get rid of them and hide them, but I needed techniques and ways to work through them and just kind of just how to handle the anxieties of being a new mom. And then the other thing was I had this beautiful newborn baby and I was so excited to be a mom and to have a family. It's something I've always dreamt of, but I would look at her and I didn't feel anything. And it sounds crazy, but I didn't feel that connection with her. Like I knew she was mine, but I wanted ways and help from you on how to feel connected to her and how to bond better and different things. And you helped me with all of those things. So those were the two things, like finding that connection and a groove as a new mom. And then those intrusive thoughts can just be so scary. And I needed, like I said, techniques and ways to work through them because they were just overwhelming at times. And that was like one of the biggest things where I was like, why the heck am I thinking this way?
Yeah. Oh God, those intrusive thoughts, they're the worst.
I know.
Oh God. So with those specific situations, not being able to drive, that's, with a
Mhm.
baby in the car. I know a lot of moms get that, and that's extremely devastating because you can't go anywhere, right? That
Yeah.
fear of going somewhere is devastating. Plus being in the house in general with the intrusive thoughts,
Mhm.
and then not being able to bond right away. Like I know you always wanted to be a mom. This was like your
Mhm.
vision for your life. And then to be like so chaotic is
Yeah.
devastating. That's, what happens to so many of the moms I work with is just that it's like, what the heck just happened? Like, this is supposed to be fun. This is supposed to be magical. And it's like, not like that.
Yeah.
So with all of this, you decided to come work with me. And so I want you to just share a little bit about your experience working with me over this 6 month period of time, and like what tools helped you the most, what do we work on that you feel comfortable sharing, and then at the end, how this has impacted you.
So I think like a lot of the things that you showed me were things I had never thought about doing, and I think that's the beauty of your program is there's just so many things you can open people's eyes to. Like, for example, you have your tapping methods, which that's kind of, you can go more into detail. I don't know how to necessarily explain it, but that's what helped me going on walks outside with her and driving again. And that helped with the intrusive thoughts a lot. And then you were able to kind of figure out me as a person and know that, okay, she does well with journaling and writing. So we would write down things that I love about my daughter and just kind of like remind yourselves like, this is your baby, these are the things that you love about her. And just that connection between thought and writing in a journal was huge for me. And I just had never thought about picking up a notebook and a pen and how like transforming that could be. And so like the tapping methods and then the journaling and just being able to talk it out. And something that I got with you is something I said before, like being relatable, because you had been through it yourself. And I think one of the things that helped me so much was I didn't feel comfortable opening up to family or friends. So having you to talk to and you letting me know that, hey, this is completely normal. Once I realized that these thoughts were normal and I wasn't so like secluded and by myself and the only person that has ever had these thoughts, made me feel so much better. Not that they were okay or less scary, but it just didn't feel so lonely. So that's the like relatable aspect that I was talking about, because just being able to have that person to confide in and just talk, like once you say the thought out loud, it becomes even a little less scary. Just the fact that you are admitting that you're having those thoughts, and you had taught me to, when you have a thought, don't ignore it. Just, you got to tell yourself it's just a thought, like allow yourself to have the thought. And so those were just such huge techniques that I never would have done or never would have known that you were able to help me with. And those are some of definitely the biggest ones.
Yes, yes, I love it. Now, I want to, because I do this with my clients, but we kind of I keep it on the down low. I have no idea why. But if you don't mind sharing a little bit about how we got to solve your problem of the driving, because I know that was really big for you. And that was
Mhm.
even dealing with the walking and things like that. So if you
Yeah.
could just tell us a little bit about how we figured that out.
Yeah, so like kind of a backstory is two kind of traumatic things. Was I had gotten into a bad rollover accident, and that was by myself, not with the baby or anything. And it was years in the past that when I went through that, I didn't really think much of it. I kind of was in the accident. I came out unscratched. So I just never really like processed those thoughts of what happened. And then the other thing was seeing a friend get hit by a car. I talked to you about that, which was another thing. It was just so traumatic and happened so quickly that I kind of just like shoved those thoughts. They were so bad in the back and didn't think about them again. And so then fast forward to having a baby, for some reason, my hormones, having a newborn child brought all of those fears back. I constantly thought when I was with her, I was going to get into a car accident, or if we went on a walk, we could get hit. Like something about motherhood just brought all those like insecurities and anxieties out. And it was just traumatizing, that made me start thinking that all of those things were going to happen to my daughter and I. And so I think what helped me the most with you is going back and working through those traumatic times that I never did in the past. And then once I kind of like felt more at ease with what happened and accepted it and worked through it, then allowed me to be more present and then do the tapping and different methods that you and I did, like present day, to be able to do those things. So you would, and then the small task you would give me, because I can be like not that motivational to myself. So having you there to tell me like, okay, I need you to go to your driveway with the dog and the baby today. And if that's as far as you can go, that's fine. And then come back and then go a little bit further and a little bit further. Or things to like giving me ways to work through, like if I was driving and then I got to a stop sign and I just started freaking out, I had new techniques to be able to take a deep breath, do what I needed to do, and then keep moving forward. So definitely working through the past to be able to work on the present and then still be able to go on walks and drive. And then now looking back, I can't believe it was ever like that, because I throw her in the car seat, we go drive somewhere, and I'm like, it's crazy to think that I was ever petrified to go do those tasks that are so like minimal now. So it's awesome.
Yes, yes, Sydney.
It is. It's
Oh,
great.
God, I know. I'm so proud of you.
Yeah.
So since you're already talking about it, tell us a little bit. So we now know where you were, right? With these
Mhm.
crazy, crazy intrusive thoughts, not bonding, feeling like you were lost. Like, not being able to get in the car, terrified to go on walks, like all of this from where you were. And talk about how you felt after the first 6 months, right? When we were finished with the program, how did you feel after those 6 months? Like what had changed in your life? And maybe it's just one or two things. And then we'll talk about where you are now.
Yeah, so I just remember like it got to a point which is amazing where we would have in the beginning they were like intense phone calls and it like brought out tears and more fears and all things and just working through all those things to get to a point. And then I remember it got to a point around like the 6 month mark where we would have our phone call or our Zoom call and it was like we were chatting like friends. I had no more horrible things to talk about and I just got to a point where I was feeling so good. And that's kind of when I knew that some days were still rocky, like motherhood's still a roller coaster and it still is to this day. We have the good days and the bad days, but I just remember feeling like, okay, I got this now. And that's when it kind of hit me like I'm driving, I'm walking, I'm doing the day-to-day things. I looked at Josie and I couldn't get enough of her. I had that connection and that bond and it just went from being like, what am I doing? Why did I get pregnant, have a baby to I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And I couldn't have it like any other way.
That's amazing. Yes, I remember that day like it was yesterday, Sydney.
Yeah, we would talk
It
on the
was just
phone like, well, now we're like friends. And it's like, and you're like, well, what can I help you with today? And I'm like, I don't know, but we can keep talking.
yes, and that's exactly how it should be, right? It should
Hmm.
reach a point where you don't need me anymore.
Hmm.
Right? That's what my job is to ensure that you have what you need and you can take care of yourself, right? And that you feel this power from within, like, yeah, I'm doing this. Like
Yeah.
I'm doing all of this. Like I feel this. This is on fire. Like I have nothing really left to like, be on the floor about or, to worry too much about. And that's a beautiful thing, Sydney. Like just to have that relief, like, and to realize like you did that. You did that.
Hmm.
Like, look at how far you came. And
Yeah,
now I don't even know how long it's been since we worked
I
together at this
know.
point. But okay, so tell us a little bit more about now. Like, how are you now? How has taking that leap of faith in yourself and realizing you needed to get help and you needed to heal some of these things, going through the program, and how has your life, transformed over this time frame? It's probably almost a year now.
Mhm.
Um, that it's been since we worked together. So talk about that a little bit, how that has transformed.
Yeah, so like if I go back to what I said before, the reason that I sought help was because intrusive thoughts and wanting a bond. So I think those are the two things that have gotten so much better now is like I said, Josie's just everything to me and I don't have those thoughts of no connection anymore. We just go about our day and it's like that those feelings were never even there. And then now it's an amazing feeling that the intrusive thoughts, I'm still an anxious person and I'm still a worrier. And so, but it's just the fact that like every once in a while I have a bad thought. I'm like, that's just a thought. Like that's not going to happen. And I can move on with my day. Before I would sit in bed all day and worry about that thought and then I couldn't do anything. So the fact that I can so much less of those thoughts now and then that I can just kind of brush them off because I have those techniques that I still can use if I need to and they're just less overwhelming and like all consuming is the word that I can use. Like they used to just take over and now I know that it's okay. And then I think a big thing is I just kind of found my groove as a mom now because of everything that we went through. We wake up, we have our routine, we go through the day, and it's just like a beautiful thing. I just have so many like exciting moments with her and making memories and stuff. And it's just so much better now. I don't know.
That's wonderful, Sydney.
Mhm.
Wonderful. So now what would you say to a mom who is struggling and a mom who's possibly considering working with me? What would you say to her?
Yeah, I think it's important to know that if you need help and if you want help, it shouldn't be a shameful thing and that you should absolutely invest the time and the money in yourself because it's not going to get worse by working with you. It's you're just going to it's just going to be a transformation that you have to have. And I honestly think that you're the best person to do that with. I mean, the just being able to relate and the techniques you have and the time and effort that you invest into your moms is just incredible. So and it sounds kind of cliche, but it gets better. It really does with time and some work and the effort. Like you can have a beautiful relationship and you don't have to be feeling the way you're feeling. It's normal to feel the way you're feeling, but it's not normal to stay like that when you can get better, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So would you, on a scale 1 to 10, how much would you recommend my programs to moms out there?
Can't even put it on a scale, like way over. But for scale purposes, definitely 10 out of 10, but 100%. Yeah.
Thank you. And is
Mhm.
there anything else that you want to share with any moms that are listening about me, the program, or yourself, or any advice or anything you'd like to give them?
Yeah, like I said, it gets better. And if you're thinking about it or if you're hesitant, don't be. You just invest the time, the money, the effort, all of it with Danielle, and it's just going to be a beautiful thing.
Thank you so much, Sydney. I really appreciate
Of
everything that you
course.
said. It just warmed my heart, and I love you so much. And
Yeah,
thank you.
I love you too. Thank you.